Chris Bishop.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I just want to start my brief remarks in this debate by picking up where Mr Parker left. And I think it was as typical for Mr Parker, a learned contribution to the debate, and there's a few areas which I agree with him on. Where I do disagree with him on is this issue as to whether or not the Select Committee or the Justice and Electoral Committee will do a good job in reviewing this legislation. Because, sir, I'm a member of that venerable committee, chaired by Jackie Dean and Alfred Nara, next to me, sits on that committee as well. We will do a good job in reviewing this piece of legislation. The government doesn't have a majority on the Justice and Electoral Committee, and actually I am surprised that Mr Parker would impugn the integrity of the committee, because we will do a good job working that through. Sir, the other point I want to make is to respond to Mr Parker's remarks about how the government has scant regard for calibrating the balance properly between civil liberties and public safety. Because actually, if you read the Section 7 report that the Attorney has provided to the House, sir, members will find that officials have done a very good job in a short space of time of drafting this bill in a way that strikes that right balance. So much so that only one very minute part of this bill conflicts unjustifiably with the Bill of Rights Act, and that's the section around DNA sampling, sir. Just finally, sir, I want to pick up on Mr Clendon's remarks about how the New Zealand Parliament is the fastest lawmaker in the West, and this is something that Geoffrey Palmer said a few years ago. And, sir, that is definitely true, and it was definitely true back in the days of Rob Muldoon. When we had the Economic Stabilisation Act. I think it was Sir Robert who said, you can hang your hat. You can do anything in this country as long as you hang your hat on economic stabilisation. And certainly when we had the act that allowed the Minister of Finance, who at the time was the Prime Minister, to literally do anything to the New Zealand economy through the stroke of a pen, through regulation passed through the Executive Council, that certainly was true. But that's been repealed, sir. We now have MMP, and so it's a lot harder for governments to do things. But it is certainly true, sir, and this is why this is relevant to this bill. It is true that every legislature around the world retains the ability to do things quickly. Every parliament retains the ability to do things expeditiously, under urgency, call it whatever you like. Every parliament has that ability. Why? Because sometimes you get circumstances like we have before the House today. Sometimes it is necessary to move fast and pass laws. Sometimes it is necessary to get a framework in place and you have Parliament move quickly to put that in place. And that is certainly true when it comes to this situation. That has been well canvassed by members, particularly on this side of the House, as to why it is necessary to move quickly. It's been well canvassed why we do need to pass this bill as quickly as we can. The officials have done a good job. And finally, sir, just in closing this debate, I want to say that this is a government that stands up proudly for New Zealanders. This is a government that stands up for the rights of Kiwis in Australia, and it is necessary that we pass this bill. And with that, I commend this bill to the House.
Before I put the question, I'll quickly summarise a ruling that I made yesterday, and